The other day, I was talking to my older sister. I have 5 sisters, if you don't know. Actually, I have more than 5, but I have 5 sisters. And I was talking to my sister, and this sister here is Telena. Say Telena. Yep, that's Telena, and she is actually named. Uh-oh, what did I do? Did I do that? Did they do that? I didn't do that. Maybe I did. Oh, I did do that. Sorry, I have a new clicker. I should have. Anyway, that was my fault. There we go. So yeah, every time I do that, then it means that was me. All right, if you can jiggle, Gigi, if you can jiggle that cord up there just a little bit. It's a blue cord. It's coming out of the box. It's the long one. I think it's blue. All right, anyway, so this is Telena. I was talking to my sister Telena on the phone. It was just a few days ago. And I asked her this question, and maybe someone's asked you this question. Telena, did you ever ride a motorcycle? Has anyone ever asked anyone in the audience that question before? Anyone ever ask you, did you ever ride a motorcycle? I see some people saying, yeah. Now, let me just by show of hands, and Brother Carter getting a little excited there. By show of hands, how many of you have actually how many of you actually have gotten on a motorcycle? Just gotten on, you just sat on it. Yeah, all right. A lot of hands, man. I even see some kids up here, man. We must be back in the country again. And so how many of you have actually been on a motorcycle that the key has been turned and the ignition is on? How many of you would like to be on a motorcycle with the key is turned and ignition? All right. How many of you would like to be on the front of the motor? You're not on the back. You want to just drive that motorcycle. If we had one today, let's say that Pastor Peterson has a motorcycle outside in the parking lot. Let me find the keys. How many of you would like to have that motorcycle? Jaden, I see. Well, I asked Telena, did you ever ride a motorcycle? And to my surprise, this is my sister. I lived with her for about, 15 to 18 years. She said, yes. In fact, I owned a motorcycle. I'm like, well, where was I? We're not that far in age. I'm like, what do you mean you had a motorcycle? And I didn't even know. And so I like motorcycles. Let me just disclose that for those watching online. I like motorcycles. Hint, hint, Father's Day coming up tomorrow. I like motorcycles. Yeah, turn around tomorrow. She back there. You just go ahead, give her a little signal. Hey, that was a cue. That was a light bulb going on. And so I like motorcycles. And she says she has one. So I'm really excited. I'm intent. I'm listening. All ears are keened in to see what she has to say next. She says she had one. I didn't even know, Adrian, that my own sister had a motorcycle. I'm like disappointed. Like, man, is there anything else you need to tell me? And so she said, yeah, I had one when I lived on that hill. In fact, I had this motorcycle and I called Dad. And she called Dad and said, hey, Dad, guess what? I have a motorcycle. It's down here at my house. And when she says that, my mind is always roaming. I'm saying, wow, my dad is probably super excited because I know my dad likes motorcycles just as much as some of you in here. And so she's like, yeah, he called him. And he said, what? You idiot. Why would you do something like that? You're going to kill yourself. His words to her. And when she said that, I am dying on the phone because I'm like, what? I said, what? He really said that? She said, yes, he said that. Now, this is where I'm a little puzzled and confused because I know my dad likes, loves, adores motorcycles. He loves them. And I can't believe he would call her an idiot and tell her that she's crazy, tell her that she's going to kill herself. In fact, when I was a child, I remember my dad had his own motorcycle. And I knew it because it was right there on our porch and he would drive it. And being a young kid, maybe like Jaden's age, I would just go there and just sit on the motorcycle. I would just pretend, make this. Man, I was driving all over the town without leaving the porch. And even crazier than that, my dad, till this day, I mean right now, 2018, June, 16th, 17th, whatever today is, he has a motorcycle. And it's no longer on the back porch because we moved houses. He has a different motorcycle, and it's no longer on the front porch, but he has one on the back porch. My dad has a motorcycle. And I'm thinking, why is he telling Telena she's crazy? She's going to kill her, and he has one. He drives it. Well, Telena said the next day, she took that motorcycle right back to the store. Exactly, what? She took the motorcycle right back to the store. She said, I took that thing right back. When he said that to me, I took it right back to the store. And I'm thinking, man, you should have gave it to me. I would have taken a motorcycle. How many of you would have taken it? I'm sure you would have taken a motorcycle from Telena. And so there was something, it was just crazy and it was puzzling me. And I'm wondering why he would say these things. Well, there's something that we should learn today. When Dad talks, there's something to learn. When Dad talks, there's something to learn. And so, true, amen, amen. Thank you, I appreciate that one true. I don't know where that true came from, over here somewhere, but I appreciate that. And so when Dad talks, there's something to learn. And so I want you to pray with me as we talk about the subject today, Dad Talks. Dear God, I just thank you for this opportunity to be here. I pray that you would give us listening ears and help us to learn. Amen. Dad Talks, Dad Talks. Now, me and China was talking about this a little while ago, but Dad Talks is my version of this popular series. Oh, man, I blew it. Well, I put it in red, but I didn't know that our screen was going to be green, so you can't see it, but it says TED. What does that spell? TED. So China and I was talking about this, but this is, let me see if you can see the next one. This is a little better. So TED Talks is a conference where speakers, they bring in speakers from all different types, and they come in there and they give you great information. Some of it is very funny. I like the funny ones. You can't see that? Oh. I can see it back there. Oh, you know what? I probably hit the button. No, I didn't hit the button. You just can't see it. Oh, wait, there you go. You can see it over. Oh, they just pulled that up. So anyway, it's over there. So TED Talks, also known as TEDx, great stuff, right? Right, China? He's agreeing. And so I don't know if he knew about it, but I thought I told him about it. So I'm just going to take the credit that he now knows because of me. And so here, this is an opportunity for people to come and to learn and to be informed and to even to laugh if you want. And so this is my version of TED Talks, what I'm calling it Dad Talks today in our series, where dads are going to just give some insight and some information, dads from all around the world. Well, I'm sure you don't want to be here all day to hear all the dads and what they have to say and this and that, and some of you probably tune dads out anyway. So if you don't mind, I would like to just narrow it down to one dad. Is that okay? How many of you want to hear from more than one dad? All right, we're going to take about 30 extra minutes at the end of my sermon for those 3 hands there. 30 minutes apiece, that's 90 minutes. I'm going to add that on there. Somebody count that up when I'm done. We're going to add 90 minutes. So anyway, we're just going to go with one dad. And this one dad that we're going to do for now is the dad of Proverbs 5. Let me just give a disclaimer. I know you Christian folk like, oh, my daddy this and somebody's daddy that and cussing. My daddy is a sailor. He was actually an Air Force man, but he is a sailor when it comes to the tongue. That brother can cuss you clean out. So listen, I know that you can't take everything that every person says, but just stick with me in the sermon that dads in general have some good things to teach you if you can get past the stuff that they're saying. If you can see inside of there, and I do counseling all the time, and I'm telling people, now this is what you told me, but let me tell you what that means, what the other person was saying. You got to sometimes dissect what dad is saying. So I've taken the liberty of dissecting a lot of things for you and just to put it right here into this material. But to be clear, we're talking about Christian dads here, one, and we're also just going to stick with the one dad of Proverbs 5. Is that okay with you? All right, if you can do me this favor. I did this when I first got here. I think my very first day. Now, this is my third, I started my third year, but my very first day I did this. I want you to just go ahead and stand up wherever you are in this audience. If you're at home, you're watching me, go ahead and just stand up. Thank you so much for these 5-10 folk. I mean, everyone, just go ahead and stand up. Not just these people in the front. If you can just stand up wherever you are, just stand up real quick. And I want you to try your very hardest and to touch the ceiling or touch the light if the light is above you. Pete probably could actually do it. But just go ahead and try really hard. Try. All right, now I want you to try to touch your knees. Just try to touch your knees. There you go. All right, now try to touch the pew that is behind you. Try to touch the pew behind you. Your chair, the seat part. Try to touch that. Standing up. You just bend back. All right, go ahead and have a seat. Nothing to do with my sermon. So here, this dad talks. Starts off by saying, my son, pay attention to my wisdom. Now I told you this is my adaptation of it. So although dad is talking to a son, today our dad talks is for sons and daughters. Amen, somebody. For men and women. And we can hear him talking, and he can be saying now in this adaptation of it, my son and my daughter, pay attention to wisdom and listen carefully to my what? Wise counsel. Pay pay attention to my wisdom and listen carefully to my wise counsel. I said it before, and then he goes on to say this. He says, then you will show discernment and your lips will express what you've learned. I told you earlier, when Dad talks, there's something to learn. Whenever you see this pop up on the screen, that's a light bulb for you to go ahead and begin to take some notes. I'm going to flash this on the screen several times during the message, and you just take some notes. Whenever you see this pop up, note-taking time. The other time, don't sleep, take mental notes. Physical notes when you see this, mental notes during the rest of the sermon, no sleeping until I'm done. All right, sounds good. We're in agreement now. That was our contract. Somebody sleep already. I heard them snoring. Pay it. So Dad talks, and number one, we pay attention. I already flashed it up there, so this is the first thing you want to write down. You want to pay attention. Dad talks, and this is our response. We pay attention. Number one, everyone, pay attention, pay attention. So honestly, for me, this is the hardest thing I had to do growing up. My dad did some talking, not a whole lot of talking, but it was very hard for me. And for me, my mind was always on roaming. If you have your cell phones and you want to make sure that you're not going to China and you're using up all your data or getting these high phone bills, you're going over to Jamaica and you want to switch it and you want to just use WhatsApp, you want to make sure your phone is not roaming. My mind is on that roaming mode all the time. I'm sure if I went to a clinical doctor, they would have diagnosed me with ADD, which now is ADHD, and probably more letters to come in the next 5 or so years. It's real and alive and kicking. And so for me, it was very hard to pay attention. And from my dad, I could have learned a lot more, but Albert B. Peterson, I will not tell you what the B stands for, I failed to pay attention. How many of you failed to pay attention, just by show of hands? I appreciate you honest folk out there in the audience. And so Dad in our monologue is saying, saying to his sons and to his daughters, he's telling them to do one thing. Number one, he's telling them to do what? Pay attention. More importantly, Dad says, pay attention to my wisdom. Not your own wisdom, but pay attention to my wisdom, Marlon. He's saying, pay attention to my wisdom. To make it plain, Dad talks more, and he gives an example. He says, sons and daughters, learn from examples, from my examples. And when you're in the classroom, how many of you have been in the classroom? Some of you recent graduates, and some of you maybe you're not even a graduate. You're just happy to be out of school. It's summer break. And so in the classroom, when the teacher gives you like a problem and something hard to work on, at the very beginning, what does the teacher usually give you? An example. How many of you recall examples? Those examples help you out. Thank you, Joshua. I see you. Those examples help us to be able to move forward during Spanish. I love the examples because I wanted to know what I needed to translate or how I needed to translate, how I needed to parse it, or what verbs and everything that I needed to do. And for Greek and for Hebrew, the same. For math and for science, the same. I love examples. And for here, he's given an example. This is what he says. He says, for the lips of an immoral woman or man, because it's our translation, are as sweet as honey. How many of you like honey? Everyone does. Come on, I didn't even need a hand for that. You're right, everyone does. Who doesn't like honey is probably a better question. A sweet, delicious delicacy. I went to the store recently, not in my sermon. Take a little pause on my time there if you're keeping track of me. I went to the store and I looked for some local honey. I have bad allergies and I wanted some local honey. I love honey, by the way, and I wanted some just delicious local honey, and I was able to find some. And now that I bought it, I actually don't want to use it because I don't want to just use it all up. So I just try to use it in little small portions. I've been trying to use less honey in my tea. I love sweet tea. I love sweet hot tea. Just pour that honey in there. Just keep on going. Thank you. I see you, girl. I see you. Graduate of Oakwood. I see you. I love the sweet tea. And so I'll just be pouring it in there. And so who doesn't like honey? And he's saying that the lips of a immoral woman are just like that honey. Just sweet, yes. And once you've tasted honey, what happens? You want more? Come on, Brother Ricardo. You want some more. You want more. When I have a taste of honey, I just want more. If I have cereal with honey, and I used to eat Honey Nut Cheerios when I was a little boy, and my grandfather would have the government honey. It just has a white label like USDA honey or something. I don't know. Y'all know. You probably don't know about government honey and government cheese, your government raisins. You don't know about those things powdered milk. You don't know about no powdered milk. Listen, anyway, this Honey Nut Cheerios that even has honey on the label, I would say, Pop, we call them Pop. Can I have some honey, please? And so he would go and it already has honey on it. I knew his spiel. He was going to tell me it already has honey on it. But he would go down underneath the kitchen sink and he had this little bottle of honey. The honey be dripping down there, already just stained on it because they've been using it so much. And he would go and get that honey and come to my little bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios that I love so much that already had honey and pour that honey. And I would watch the honey. I would be so fascinated as the honey would just drip down all over my Honey Nut Cheerios. Why? Because I love honey. And it would just cover my Honey Nut Cheerios, and it would be so delicious. And here he's saying those lips of the immoral man or woman are just like honey. And once you've tasted it, you want more. As sweet as honey. And his or her mouth is smoother than oil. Smoother than oil. Dad is still talking. He's saying it's smoother than oil. Not only are the kisses on point, but everything this immoral woman or man says to the sons and to the daughters sounds like sweet music in your ears. How many of you love that sweet music? That nice smooth jazz, or I don't know what you like, reggae, whatever it is you like. Whatever you be jamming to in your car or on the train in your earbuds. Whatever it is. And he's saying this is just like that. And in the words of Sade, a smooth criminal. And then, I'm sorry, that was Michael Jackson, a smooth criminal. In the words of Sade, a smooth operator. You're saying that's how these people are once they get into your mind. Their smooth words and their smooth sounds leading you to smooth sin. And so Dad talks some more and he tells us that the honey lips, the smooth mouth that seems so appealing, be careful. Be careful. Dad talks and says, why? Because in the end, she is as bitter as poison. And Belle Biv DeVoe did a great job of trying to tell the world that girl is poison. Yeah, Adventist people, listen, I gotta know everything I'm putting up here. Somebody not reading their quarterly. As dangerous and as a double-edged sword. His or her feet, the Bible, this dad keeps them talking, he say they go down to death and their steps lead straight to the grave. There's no stop. There's no end. For he or she cares nothing about the path to life. For he or she staggers down the crooked trail and doesn't realize it. If you, son and daughter, are so lip-locked into lust for this immoral man or this immoral woman that tells you sweet, absolute nothings in your ear, what path will you have other than the same path of the immoral man or the immoral woman? So Dad talks and we pay attention. Number one, we pay attention. When Dad talks, there's something to learn. Number one, we do what, everyone? Great. And then we do number two, we listen carefully. We listen carefully. Dad said it earlier when we were reading. We listen carefully to my wise counsel. Dad talks and he continues his monologue saying, he says this in Proverbs verse 5, if you're just tuning in, just watching it online, he says, and starting at verse 7, he says, so my sons and my daughters, listen to me, not to everyone else, not to yourself, but listen to me. And this one is very, very, very important. He says, never, 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 ever stray from what I'm about to say. Well, Dad, what are you about to say? I'm interested. I'm listening. My ears are perked up, just like when my sister said she owned a motorcycle. I'm ready. I want to know what you have to say. Dad says, stay away from her to my sons. And to my daughters, he says, stay away from him. Well, Dad, how far should I stay? You know, like you're just trying to test your boundaries. Is it all right if I do this? If it's all right if I do that? How far should I stay away? Dad says, don't even come close to the door of his or her house. Don't stalk them on social media. Don't meet them at the club. Just stay away. Don't invite them to your house when no one's around. Don't have these secret rendezvous at a rundown motel somewhere down on Gun Hill. Don't go to the prom with them, and don't have that after prom sex activities. Stay away. Listen carefully as Dad talks again. If you go to the house with him or her, you will not might, but you will lose your honor, and you will lose it to merciless people, all that you have achieved. What a strong message. I remember I was at a meeting some years ago. You don't know any of these people, so I'm free to tell this story, but I will leave out all the names and details except for that I was at this meeting. And this meeting, there was this man there. Obviously, you can't see who he is because I found this random picture. And so this man, he was in this meeting, and all of these people were filled in this meeting, just like kind of how we are today. And he begins, and he gets they do some little introductions or whatever, and he gets up there, he gets the mic, and he begins to talk about infidelity, a.k.a. cheating on your spouse. And he talks about the dangers of infidelity. He talks about the things that will happen to you. He talks about how it'll mess you up. It'll mess up your family, mess up your job, mess up your life. This and that and this and that. And he begins to just go in deep on infidelity and why you should stay away from it, why you should have no dealings with it at all. And then he begins to explain to everyone there that the reason why he knows this information so well and so much is because he himself was caught in infidelity. You see, he said one day he had went to this woman's house that he knew. And he knew that he probably shouldn't be there, but he gives a rattle on the door, and the woman comes to the door, opens the door, and she has her bathrobe on. And I want to let you know, saints of God, that it was not her church clothes under that bathrobe. And the brother begins to go into that house and doesn't come out for a while later. No Bible studies were done there. No Sabbath school lessons. But infidelity, they were in there having sex, in case you don't know what I'm saying. He just did not stay away from the door. And so then he decides, you know what, I did the wrong thing. I should not have went to that house. I should not have went in. When she came to the door in the bathroom, I should have just turned around and went on home. I should have just changed my mind. So he calls her up and he says, you know what, this can't happen anymore. We can't have this relationship. He said it was just one time, but I can't do it anymore. She says, well, I have some news for you. Say it again. Man, this must be like, y'all know this story? Exactly. It happens so much, so often. You think that one time and it'll just be forgotten and no one will know. I'm pregnant. Wow. My man is floored. This thing that he thought that people could just forget about and it would just be swept under the rug, he would say, hey, it's over, and it would be done with. You can't forget about a pregnancy. You can't forget about a little kid that's on the way. She's pregnant. Now this happened in a marriage, and he wasn't married to her. He was married to someone else, and now he has to go back and tell his wife what he's done. Well, to cut it short, wife gone, kids gone, house gone, job gone, everything, certificates, awards, accolades, position, status, gone. Everything that he had worked so hard for, swept away. It was like cash money in a gasoline fire. This man, this one little trip to the door had cost him everything. If he had only listened carefully to stay away from her, that's all he had to do, was just stay away from her. Sons, stay away from her. daughters, stay away from him. Don't go near the door. Are you hearing me? Quiet today. I don't know what's happening in the church. It's a little quiet. We got to keep moving though. So number one, everyone. Number two, listen carefully. When dad talks, there's something to learn. There's something to learn. So third and finally, dad says that we need to talk about did I skip a page? I hope not. Yeah, well, it's too late. Display discernment. Display discernment, a.k.a. show that you know something. You got to show that you know something. At the end of the year at Oakwood, you can tell me if they still do this, but they have to do an exit exam. This is like an English proficiency exam is what they call it. Hated that stupid thing. And you have to show everyone that you know something. And they bring you into this auditorium with all the other people that think they're going to graduate. And if they don't pass this English proficiency exam, they're not going anywhere. They could have sent out so many invitations and told mama and papa, I finally made it out after 10 years. But if you don't pass this exam, you don't go anywhere. You have to be able to display some discernment, be able to show that you know something. And so dad, as his talk begins to end, he reflects on something that he had said earlier. This is what he said earlier. He said, then you will show discernment and your lips will what? Express what you've learned. So far, the son and the daughter have learned to pay attention to wisdom, the experience of someone else has had about the opposite sex, and to listen carefully to wise counsel. Don't fool around with promiscuous men and women. Don't pursue, don't even inquire or accidentally, I don't know how it happens, but I accidentally had sex or I accidentally got pregnant. Don't accidentally fall into a relationship or a one night stand with an immoral person. Show some discernment. Show that you've learned something. Show that you're not going to waste your youth. How do you do that? How do you show discernment? Well, one way is for you not to date a million people at the same daggone time. I tell you, it just gets crazier and crazier. Very entertaining, but foolish. Very, very foolish. All of these women, line up, sign up, audition. You got to go on an audition to date one man? Craziness. Cat fights. Trying to get as close as they can. And when he's not giving you enough attention, they start pulling them closer. They start taking off more stuff. The little that they had on, they start taking that off to try to wheel them in. And it gets even crazier when you watch The Bachelorette. You see this? How does this work? This dude decided that he can impress her by coming there with no shirt on. No shirt. Like there was no dress requirement. Everybody else has on clothes, but he said, hey, I'll show her my pecs. And then this guy, what in the world is he doing? What are you doing? I'm going to be your knight in shining armor. Remember I told you about those lips like honey, those smooth mouths? Craziness goes on. Show some discernment. You got to be kissing her and kissing her and kissing her. And these people are just sowing false hope to desperate people. Sleeping with people to try to find out which one is the one. I remember when I was working at Babies R Us when I lived back in Maryland, and this guy was saying, oh, you're not having sex? No, man, I'm not having sex. What? You got to try it out, man, to see if that's going to be the right person. So I'm going to try it out with everybody to see if that's the right person? Yeah, man. Well, obviously he's not in a good relationship right now. You shouldn't be out there trying it out. It's not something for you to try out. When dad talks, there's something to learn. What else do we learn in number 3? How do we display this discernment? Dad talks again, and Dad says this. He says some wise words, but like I said, sometimes you got to cipher through what Dad says. Dad says, drink water from your own well. I don't have no well, Dad. I got a water fountain. What does that mean? Well, now you're starting to show some discernment. Now you're asking the right questions. Good job, Victory. Well, it means share love only. Say only. Only with your wife. Only with your husband. Only. Say only again, please. Say it nice and loud because the church is quiet. Only. I didn't say it so loud. I didn't went to the next slide. Listen. Only with your spouse. That's how you show this discernment. Drink water from your own well. It means stay with your spouse. Then Dad continues on. Dad is doing some good talking today. Dad says in verse 16, he says this as we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Dad says, why spill the water of your springs in the street? Some of these slides I wanted to leave out, but I couldn't. And especially somebody said, I can put them all in there because there's some I left out. I can put them in there if you want me to put them in there. I'm getting to go ahead to put them in there. I'm going to put them in there. Why spill the water? And this one I was going to say, ask your parents. But I said, hey, I'm just going to tell them. Why spill the water of your springs in the streets? What is he talking about? Now you're asking the right questions. Now you're showing some discernment. He's saying about having sex with just anyone? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Then he goes on to say, well, this is what you should do. You should reserve it for yourselves. Never share with what? Strangers. Where's my phone? Never share it with strangers. Never share it with who? Strangers. If I can pull this up, I'm going to add it in there. Well, I can't pull it up. Go home and read Proverbs 5. He says, never share it with strangers. And then he goes on to say, as he continues to talk, and I feel like he's on a roll or something, he says, let the wife of you or your husband, that was my adaptation, be a fountain of blessing for you. Now, if you've been following, if you've been reading in between the lines what Dad is saying when you're having sex, do it with your own wife. When you're having sex, do it with your own husband. He's talking about wells and fountains. He's saying enjoy what you have, not what someone else has. Don't be stealing water from somebody else's well. Well, and don't be giving anybody any of your water, unless it's your husband or your wife. And then he says, rejoice in the wife or the husband of your youth. He's saying, have a good time. As long as it's in the marriage, in your marriage. Because some married people are out there drinking water from everybody else as well. My Lord. Enjoy the wife of your youth. Listen, I have 2 kids. I have been enjoying the wife of my youth. And if I could, if my wife didn't stop me, if she didn't prevent me, I would have some more kids. I'm just putting it out there because I want to drink from my own well. I don't need anybody else's well. Don't even bring me your water because I don't want none. I got my own water in the back. Honey, wave your hand. There we go. I hope you caught that online too. So then you say, well, what if I'm not married? Well, sons and daughters, then you should say, I'm not having sex. What if I'm not married? I'm not having sex. How many of you are not married? All right, say this with me. I'm not having sex. Hey, listen, you know you did not say nothing. I'm looking right at you. If you're not married, put your hand up. Don't have me call your name on live stream. I feel something pushing me. Say it with me. If I'm not married, I'm not having sex. I'm going to do it one more time because some of you, but you're trying to work up to it. I'm not married. I'm not having sex. Now listen. Good job. So good job. I'm so glad that even the little ones got it, because now they know. They be on YouTube and they see everything, and they know now that they're not married, they're not having sex. I wish some of the teenagers, have me Jesus. I wish some of the 20-year-olds, Lord have mercy. I wish some of the 30 and 40, even somebody's grandmama, I wish they would have said it with me. I done went through a couple slides that I wasn't supposed to go through. I don't know where I am. I'm just going to read the thing and we're going to get out of here. Let your wife or your husband be a fountain of blessing for you. I think I can find it. Rejoice in the wife or the husband of your youth. Man, we're going to redeem victory. We're going to turn this thing around. We're going to have so many kids in here. This thing is going to be the biggest church in the universe, because we're going to be staying with our own water from now on. I don't know who put this up here. It wasn't part of my illustration. This isn't part of my sermon. But listen, just as a reminder, we're going to just, here's some water. I saw you, girl, put up your hand. Go ahead. Ricky Lee, Alex saying, go ahead, take some of that. Pick it, pull it down. All of you. We're going to, just as a reminder, just pass it right there next to Dave. Go ahead, give one to Gabby and give one to, yes, you need some too, Rashidi. Oh, yes, right here. Fill up, take some water, brother. Sorry, my sister. I'm so sorry. You know I love you. We passing out water. We want to remind these people in the house of God that marriage, I don't want you to open that water either. Don't even drink it. Let that be a reminder that you're going to wait. Yeah, don't drink that water. I'm married, so I can drink my water. And I'm thirsty. But let that be a reminder to you. Did you want to wait until marriage? Girl, you better take that water. You see her offering you that water. Take that water. Take that water, son. Take that water, daughter. Man, I didn't mess. Y'all know I don't go this long. Y'all have to forgive me. But I need to go this long today. 19? All right, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad somebody paying attention. This slide, man, goodness. All right, we'll go to Navigator, and we will go down. I'm all out of breath, like I done played a basketball game. All right, there we go. I think we're somewhere around there. Take my time. Can I add those slides that I took out? All right, I think I'm going to add a. Okay, one second. I'm there. All right, there we go. There's my beautiful bride. Got my own water, and now you got your own water too. So here, as we're wrapping this thing up, I'm going to try. Show, please, I'm begging you, show that you've learned something. Show some discernment from now on. Tell some people, hey, you can't hang out with them anymore. Block some people from social media. Block some sites on your computer that you on there at nighttime. Do something that you can show some discernment. Don't make foolish decisions. Display discernment. I was talking to someone else, a different person this time, and I was talking to them some time ago, and this individual, unfortunately, was cheating on his wife. Now, he knew, and the person he was cheating on knew, and I knew, but the wife didn't know. And I told him, I'm going to tell his wife. I said, go ahead, man up, tell your wife. Or I'm going to tell her for you, because I don't care. And so, well, this son eventually got caught by his wife. Happens all the time. All the time. I don't know why people think they can get away with this stuff. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. So after some time, he got caught, and then after he's caught, you know, he's repentant now. He's coming to Jesus because he got caught. But I wish some more of you would get caught so you can come to Jesus too. And so, I'm just saying it all today. I don't care. So, he's caught. He's coming to Jesus. And his wife says, you know, I'm going to tell the pastor what you did. The wife tells the pastor. And then some people are mad at the wife because she's telling what's going on. But she don't care. Yeah, he done messed up, you know. So the wife tells the pastor, and then the pastor talks to him and tries to counsel him and everything. And then he's either disfellowshipped or censored, whatever we do. I don't know. I have no idea. But something happened to him where he can't do everything that he used to do. And so, Now he's really upset. And then he says, well, I'm going to get it together now. I'm going to, be with my wife and this and that and blah, 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 blah. The whole 9 yards, whatever people say. Do whatever they want other people to hear. Then I talk to him again. I do a follow-up. So how's everything going now? Well, when you hear stuff like that, when you hear that breath before they talk, we're getting into something. So I brace myself. I done cheated again. I said, Lord have mercy. And if I could have reached through that phone, I would have reached through that phone and shook him. Gave him a Holy Ghost punch or something. And he's done it again, and the wife caught him again. Brother, you're not learning nothing. You're not showing any discernment at all. This son is messing up. He's not listening to dad. And I keep talking to him. I keep trying to get him to do it. Well, he says, I'm not going to hang out with them anymore. I'm not going to hang around these immoral women anymore. I'm not going to stay up late and go on the sites and talk to this person after hours. Well, after some time pass, he's supposedly doing all these things. But unfortunately, this son is not getting the lessons and the counsel. Well, he's getting it, rather, but he's not understanding it. And he failed to display discernment. And this son kept falling for the trap of the immoral woman, those honey lips and that smooth mouth. And so I'm just trying to tell you today, number 3, display some discernment, aka act like you know something. Finally, as I close, Dad points out that there's a really big dad in heaven, the father of us all. And Dad talks one more time, and he gives us the father's warning. He says, for the Lord sees clearly what a man or a woman does, examining every path he or she takes. So although your spouse may not catch you, although I may never get wind of it, or your family never gets wind of it, the very first day you did it, God saw you, and he still sees you today. If nobody else knows, you think your secret is safe, locked up, and the key is thrown out, God sees you. Men and women, sons and daughters, God sees you. And he's examining every path that you're going to take. And then he goes on to say, an evil man is held captive by his own sins. You're wondering why you're not progressing, wondering why you're not moving forward. You're wondering why things just aren't working out. Well, you're being held captive. By who? By what? By your own demise, by your own choices. You could have so much better if you just stop putting yourself in the snare. The story is told about the monkey, and they put some nuts inside of a cage, and the monkey puts his hand in there, but he can't get his hand out the cage because he just won't let go of the nuts. Poor monkey, just let go. Poor sons and daughters, if you just let go. And he goes on to say that these are ropes that catch and that hold him or her. God sees every single thing that you're doing. Every single thing. And then he goes on to say, for he will die, brings it real home, real plain and clear. For he will die for a lack of what? Self-control. He will be lost because of his great foolishness. So not only are you going to pursue that person if you don't pay attention, if you don't listen carefully, if you don't display discernment, not only are you going to pursue that immoral man or that immoral woman, that immoral young man, that immoral young woman, but you're going to end up killing yourself and losing out on heaven over some foolishness. Keep your water to yourself. God sees all that you're doing, and you cannot hide from God victory. You cannot hide from God, those watching online. those all around the world. You cannot hide from God, sons and daughters. So I admonish you, I encourage you. I shouldn't say admonish. Listen, get your stuff together. There's no magical ending in Proverbs chapter 5. No happily ever after. Dad talks and ends with a stern warning that if you don't learn from me, you will learn the hard way, and it will cost you. What will it cost you? It will cost you eternal life. Is there an immoral man or woman that you want to be with so bad that it's worth missing out on eternal life? Please show me that person so I can tell you how foolish you are. When Dad talks, there's something to learn. When Dad talks, there's something to learn. Number 1, pay attention. Number 2, listen carefully. And number 3, display discernment. Dad talks. Dad talks. Go ahead and play something, Sister Harris. You know, sometimes I just take my seat. But how many of you sons and daughters, men and women watching online or sitting here in your little comfortable chairs, want to live better and do better? How many of you want to pay attention, want to listen carefully, want to display discernment? How many of you want to do that? How many of you want to live what's right? I want to ask you to stand up. I want to ask you to raise your hand. But I just want you to inside say, God, help me. God, help me. I don't care if you're married or not married. Just say, God, help me. And right now he hears you saying, God, help me. When Dad talks, pay attention, listen carefully, and display discernment.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.